Dus de microfoons werken. Top.
Even checken.
Zijn we
Yo,
live?
yo, what's up, everyone?
Hello
Even klappie.
guys.
Dan weet de editor waar we zijn. Joey ook nog even, voor jouw camera. Denk ik. I
How's
don't
everyone
know if your
doing?
editor needs, but...
Let's see. Is the audio working? Can everybody please confirm that you can hear us?
Yeah, we're sorry we're lacking video in the live stream.
We're lacking everything
But
today.
don't worry, the video will be up after
The
the
after
live
edit
stream.
will be insane.
Yeah, it will be. We have. It's actually a shame.
We're actually keeping a great secret now because
Yeah.
we've updated the studio. And,
Yeah, like huge.
You've got a beautiful
upgrade.
face in the studio now.
huge
New-
update.
yeah.
We have a guest.
New guest.
Yeah, you just
Oh,
spoiled
joking.
the whole thing, but that's okay. We were working towards like the highest point, but anyway, we've updated the studio, and if you're watching this in post production, it's gonna look sick. But there's
Yeah.
more.
And there.
And we
Okay.
need more cameras, I think,
need
and still
more of
some more light
everything.
stands. But it's from last time.
Yeah.
It's really a huge upgrade,
It's huge.
and we have a guest.
And we have a
Surprise.
Surprise.
Hello
What's up?
guys. Yeah, it's I'm doing great. Thank you for having me in the show.
Yeah.
It's actually my first time on a podcast, so I'm kind of like a bit nervous.
First time at all.
Yeah, in any podcast.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best podcast to be first
Best one
because
ever.
we are like we don't have really a schedule, and we just are try to be as much as ourselves as we usually are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we just
There is no.
all from Brabant, so it's all it's all good.
It's all Brabant.
But
today.
for people listening and watching, of course, this is James.
Hello guys.
His normal name is Jim Van Hoof.
Jim Van Hoof?
Jim van Hoof. Yeah. It's difficult to pronounce in English.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, we just found out that we actually live 5 minutes away from
yeah, in the
each
same
other.
village. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
insane.
It's a village you probably never visit in your whole life, but it's
No.
when you grew up there, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually funny. I think I already told you, like, I've been following you for a couple of years already. I don't know if it's the same way. I hope so.
I actually
but-
don't follow anyone.
Oh, you don't follow anyone?
No.
Damn. Okay. Yeah.
It's not personal.
Okay, no, okay. Oh, I
No.
won't take it personal
No.
then. Yeah, but it's funny. It's funny how close everyone can
Yes.
live from one another, especially in the music industry. It's kind of like a niche market, of
Yeah.
course, kind of small at a certain point. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we talk about it every now and then. Like, to people who don't live in the Netherlands, they always say like, I want to move to the Netherlands because I want to be close to the music industry, right?
Yeah.
And maybe we don't really realize it, but it's a big plus that we live so close to each other and that it's so easy to just get into the car, 30-minute
Yeah.
drive, and you're anywhere.
Yeah.
That's such a big advantage, especially when it comes down to the networking. Like,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
having a coffee somewhere, meeting someone in person.
I also
Uh,
think there must be something in the culture where we just
Yeah.
are more easy to collaborate with, or we're more direct about it, and like, hey, this works, this doesn't. I always feel like working with Dutch DJs is so like straightforward. Hey, I don't like that, or
yeah. I think it's
do.
the Dutch
Yeah.
It's like-
people in general, right?
Dutch
Which
culture,
are
Yeah.
just very straightforward. It can sometimes work against us a bit as well if we.
it's we're sometimes
Yeah.
cold and like not really. I watched this TV show called Winter Full of Love.
Yeah, that sounds like a banger.
But
Yeah, it is.
if
it
you
is,
see
yeah.
that, it's like it's people going on dates basically.
Yeah.
And they really can't have a normal conversation. They really just talk about, what do you think of me, and
Yeah.
what do I think of you, and what do you think of this? It's very like,
Shall we go in the hot tub now?
strange.
It's like
yeah, it's just very
yeah.
weird. It's not real, like not always natural, I
No.
guess. But that's why we're a lot of producers here, because we're like computers, because that's just yes and no.
Yes,
But
no.
you are a singer songwriter. Is that
Yeah.
how I can say
Yeah,
that?
that's correct. Yeah, you can call it that. I always feel like there's a thing about like calling yourself a singer songwriter, because a lot of people would like imagine someone with like a hat and a feather on, and like and that plays emotional songs on his guitar. That's, which is awesome, by the way, but that's just a general perspective, I think I think you could consider it more as a top liner. So top lining is whenever a DJ or an act asks for like vocals or lyrics on an instrumental that they made. Basically, a vocalist or a top liner, they write a song on top of the instrumental, record it, and then hopefully like deliver the final
Hmm.
product that the yeah, that the artist is asking for. um but it's, yeah, it varies. Like I kind of write in any kind of genre. I do have to say that dance EDM is probably the biggest market that I work in. But I also love to expand my horizon a bit and go into like K-pop and normal pop and
K-pop?
yeah,
Oh
K-pop. Yeah,
wow.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes also like Dutch pop music. And I try to do as much as possible to make it as fun as possible,
Hmm.
because I feel like if you're only focusing on one thing, which could work for a lot of people, for in my experience, it's nice to have a little bit of like a this and that, to make it more fun and make it feel
Yeah,
less like work,
yeah, and I feel like we've known each other for a few years, but
Yeah.
that's what I also see if I follow you on social, but also know you in real life. You do so much, like you do so many sessions and so many in different places, and so that seems very fun. Like you see a lot of new places,
Yeah,
and
it is. Yeah.
we go into it a little bit later in on your coming travel schedule, which
Oh
is
yeah.
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
But also like that must be like it seems like also a lot of work for not as much return as you would expect, or how do I
Yeah.
because there's a lot of I can imagine you write maybe 100 songs and out of that 10 get picked, or how does that exactly?
Well, if you're lucky, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
if it
really?
depends on your abilities and your skills, and obviously also I think status has something to do with it as well. Like if you had songs with like bigger names, then um well, it's like it's there's a big chance that you will sell your vocals easier, or your
Mm.
top lines basically. But I think what is the most challenging about being a songwriter is the difference between being a songwriter and a DJ. For example, a DJ kind of has the same situation. They make a lot of music and they hope like their songs get signed to a label and they can, show the world what they did. But they also have gigs. They
Mhm.
also have like shows they perform on and earn money on. Uh, Whereas a singer songwriter basically writes, like you say, like 100 songs, and you're lucky if you can sell 10 of them, if if you did the right thing. um, but if you don't have like an artist project for yourself, it's very hard to get like gigs, because not every
Yeah.
DJ is interested in like live performances during their gigs. That's not really a common thing. Um, so that makes it also like very hard to describe to people like what I do for a living. I mostly like I explain everything, how the way I earn the money, and the way I my weeks are on a daily basis, and those kind of things. But always when I have explained the whole thing, they will ask the same question. Yeah, but yeah, okay, but that sounds fun. But what is your real job?
Yeah. What do
You
you
know,
actually do? Like.
and that's the most like challenging part about being a songwriter. It's super fun because I get to meet like new people. I get to make awesome songs with super talented people, which I'm very like grateful for. But it's also very challenging, and that's why like I've been doing this for like 9 years now. And then
Mm.
in the beginning, it's like very hard work. It's a lot of investing of money, time, effort, and not getting a lot from that back.
Yeah.
And it takes a while before you really start to develop that kind of like structure of flow.
How long did it take you? Is it your full-time thing now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it's full time
So
now.
how
Yeah.
long did it take you from 9 years ago until which point was it like your full-time thing?
I think I started doing this full time, I think about 2.5 years ago, so not that
Wow,
long, to be
wow.
honest. So I like up till that point, I always had like side jobs, and I did like a bunch of things on the side to get my rent, my monthly rent, together, to pay for everything, and just like my
Yeah.
daily things I would spend it on. And um, yeah, it took a while before that
Yeah.
really got off the ground, and I was able to really, you know, uh, be able to provide for myself.
And,
Yeah.
and talking about the income stream, because what is the income stream for a singer-songwriter? What does it exist out of?
I think it's basically three things. So you have vocal fees. So a vocal fee means it's kind of like an upfront fee. You can also, but that's a different story, have an advance on that fee. So you would, let's say you get 2,000 euros for a vocal. Um, then they could sometimes also say like, hey, we want to make it half advance. So the first thousand you get immediately. You don't have to pay it back through
Yeah.
royalties or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the other thousand is basically an advance that you have to earn through your royalties revenue.
Yeah.
Um, and then so that comes to the next one. It's the royalties. Like you've got the master royalties and you got the publishing royalties. Basically, a singer songwriter doesn't like, except for when you are a vocalist as well. You wrote the song and you sing the song. You perform the song on the track. You are able to get masters,
Yeah.
but it's not really that common yet. I feel like it's, yeah, it needs to grow a little bit more, to be honest. So that's one way, and then you have the publishing splits,
Yeah.
and that's basically your, yeah, the lyrics that you wrote, your like, how do you call it, your intellectual
Property.
property,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, so it's three ways. The best way to earn in the beginning are the vocal fees because
Yeah.
they are just upfront, and you can just pay
Yeah.
your
cash in
monthly.
hand
Yeah,
to pay
yeah,
your
you
rent and
basically
stuff.
have
Yeah.
it, yeah, and then for the rest, you basically have to wait because it will come like after a few months, maybe sometimes years, depends on which country you like released your song in. But that's basically the three
Yeah.
ways that I earn my money through music. Yeah,
It's kind of similar to music producers.
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a lot of similarities, but like you said, as a music producer, it's easier to sell yourself as a DJ,
hmm,
Yeah.
and as a singer, it's like, yeah, there's MCs, but it's a whole different thing because it's like hyping up a crowd. It's not really
hmm,
performing a song. So yeah, but that's why I do see like how much you do, and for the return, and then it's so awesome to see like when you have huge success, like a big collab with J Hardway.
yes, yes, like no other, guys.
Uh,
Stream it on all platforms.
no, but you had recently a song with Martin Garrix,
Yeah. Ooh,
and I think it's really
ooh.
cool to, and I think it's also like because I've been following you then for a few years, and then seeing that big of a collab, it's like wow, that's recognition for all those years.
Yeah.
Does it feel like that as well?
Definitely. I can definitely say that I've come like I've like a few times in my career I've come to the point where I thought this is not working. This is
Yeah,
just not working out because I'm investing so much money, so much time, so much of everything to be able to make a living out of what I love to do, you know? Um and ever since those things started to happen, it felt like, oh wait, I can actually do this. I can actually pull this off, and it's a crown on your work. And
yeah,
I'm convinced that I'm not there yet. I will always say that because I'm never fully satisfied. I think
Mm.
every creative kind of has that part in them where they just they always want something better, which is a good thing and a bad thing because you tend to like lose uh, um, track of what you have already
Mm.
established in over the years. But it's definitely something that
yeah. I
puts a
think
crown on the work. Yeah,
it's one of those things where I always have struggled where I want more, but what do I want more of?
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's where then you start listening to the wrong people sometimes, and like,
yeah,
oh, you want more this, more that, more money, but you have to figure out for yourself what do you want more of, because I do think as humans it's good to always want to reinvent yourself or
yeah,
like keep pushing, but
yeah.
it's not always good to strive for more money or um, but it's
Shouldn't
interesting.
it shouldn't be the fundament of
It
everything.
could be,
No,
It
but
could
no.
be.
for me it doesn't work. So
Yeah.
it's you have to really figure out for yourself
True.
what is your more, and not
Yeah,
rely
that's
on what your
true.
manager says or
Could you tell us more about your path towards that collab? As in, how does such a thing come to reality? Like, do you just bump into the guy on the street, or how does this work?
Well, I'm usually not a guy that wants to force himself up to people. I feel like you're gonna show what you're worth by showing it and doing it
Mm.
instead of like selling yourself. Like it's a good thing to sell yourself, but I think in these kind of things, it's just do what you love to do the most, and then eventually you will you can take the benefits from it, and it will happen a natural way. I've never been a person of planning, and I've never really had a plan of how I was like gonna supposed to,
But you
Take
got out
over.
of your attic or where you ever started. You got out of there, so there's a part of you that is that like kind of extrovert. Like, hey, I want to show my
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
So
definitely. Yeah,
that
I mean,
how
it
did
is
that
necessary.
evolve? Yeah,
Yeah, I think just by doing it more and more and every day. So I started basically. I just want to give a little shout out. I started out with Sam. He's kind of like picked me up as
Sam Veld.
no,
Oh,
Sam Bombake. He's called. He's popping off right now. He's doing an amazing job. Super proud of him.
Sam BE
Yeah, Sam BE. He's
on
got
Spotify. Is also the BE is behind his name.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
it's
yeah. It's
part of
in
his artist
brackets.
name.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
you'll find him easily.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. But I was posting videos on Instagram by doing covers of just well-known songs and on my bed with like the AirPods with the cable still. It was
yeah,
Mhm.
that time. And then he messaged me saying like, "Hey, I really like what I'm hearing. Have you ever written a song before?" I was like, "No, not really. I would like to try." And then he kind of like um, took me under his wing and showed me the kind of like the steps you have to take in the music industry. And then I started working with him more and more. He started to place me in sessions with his direct colleagues, and he had friends that also were into music and said like, "Hey, we need vocals." And he
okay,
was like, "Hey, I know the guy. I work with him. Probably you could work
yeah,
something out."
yeah,
And then you start doing it, and whenever you have fun in something, you don't really think about what you're doing. I think it's like, hey, I just want to have fun today. I'm gonna write a nice song that I like. That eventually is the most important part, I think, because then eventually the audience is gonna hear that.
yeah,
Obviously, when I hear back to the tracks that I made in the beginning, I think like, oh shit, it sounds terrible. But you need to start somewhere, and then eventually you'll be able to learn along the way. And yeah, then you create this kind of motivation for yourself to really make those steps. I've never really forced myself into making those steps. It just happened
yeah,
basically. Doesn't take away like that I put hard work and everything,
yeah,
because now it may sound like, oh, I just did it, and it's like,
yeah.
that's not the case. But it's just it's between finding a fine balance between having fun and also willing to sacrifice some things to be able to do those things on a daily
Yeah, I
basis.
mean, having fun isn't the same as not working. So it's you can have work really hard and have
Yeah.
fun at the same time. So
And what is one of those sacrifices that you mentioned? Because you mentioned like um, as an artist, it mostly starts out as fun, right? It starts out as a
Yeah.
hobby,
Yeah.
and then suddenly, gradually, but suddenly, it becomes serious, as
Yeah.
in it's your job.
Yeah.
So, what are some of those sacrifices you feel you kind of have to do every now and then to kind of maybe take out some of the fun because you have to make money? I can imagine that's the thought there, but
Yeah, there's multiple things. I think it's mostly, I think it's personal, like personal business. So, for example, I was on the verge of starting and study in Rotterdam, um, and like a few weeks before the school year was about to start, I was like, I don't know if I want this.
mm,
Is I was not about to do something that has anything to do with music. I've never done any education in music. Um, so my music theory is not present. Um,
not at all.
not at all. No, well, I can hear stuff and I know how it should sound like, and those kind of things.
Oh,
But I don't know where the C is on a keyboard. Let's say that. So for everyone that wants to become a songwriter, you
there's
don't you
a
don't
there's a
have to you don't have to have all the knowledge in the
yeah
world to become
there's a
creative.
lesson in there
Definitely,
for
yeah,
people.
definitely.
Yeah,
But I was about to start that, and then I really had my doubts about, do I want to spend the next 4 years following a study that I don't really, I think is fun, but not really my passion in life. Is that something I'm willing to do? And that choice was really hard though, like, because like there's different elements. Also, kind of like a social pressure, because like you're expected to follow like this study, otherwise you don't have your papers, and
you
you don't
fail.
really, yeah, you fail
Yeah,
basically. That's how I was seeing it at first, and I was kind of scared that my parents thought the same way, like, you should follow a study and you should, not that they made that impression to me, but it was just like around me, everyone's following a study and everyone's doing that,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh, if I'm not doing that, does that mean I'm dumb, or does that mean I'm making the wrong decisions in life? And
Hmm.
but then I said, look, let's just go for it, and let's just get rid of that study and
And
just follow my dream.
what helped you to make that decision? Because I've been there as well, and I
Mm-hmm.
think many of us, as in many artists at a young age, are at that point.
Mm-hmm.
What helped you to make that decision? Because for me, what really helped was the fact that my parents supported me,
Mm-hmm.
or at least said to me like, "You're okay with this, like you can do
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, yeah,
if we see you being lazy for one day, you'll go back."
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? So they supported me, but they also gave me a hard, not
We'll support you, but if you're in debt, good luck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. We're
No, but
not gonna pay you. Yeah,
yeah, no,
You'll
yeah.
but they
sleep
were
on the street.
they were really like, if you think this is possible, then we'll support you,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah,
we do want to see you work for it. So that really helped me
yeah.
because, as you said, the peer pressure, the society pressure,
Mhm,
all the beliefs that you've built during the years, because everybody does it, so you
mhm.
kind of feel like the black sheep in there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, definitely, yeah.
Um, what was it for you? Like, what was it for you that kind of pushed you over that, yeah, to take the leap?
Yeah, I think let's say my parents have never spoken out of like of saying like, hey, if you do something in the creative industry, that's bad. You should do something in finance or whatever.
Mm,
Like that's not how my parents are. They have always been supported, and they still are super supportive. So that's great. I just thought that
yeah,
they
yeah,
might think that
Mm.
because my friends' parents had those things,
yeah,
like a couple
exactly.
of my friends, and which is also like it's different in every household, I think. Like it's just a way of being. um how do you say it? Uh,
Parented.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. It's and it's such a huge influence. I had a friend who was a great drummer.
yeah.
I've told this story a couple of times, I think, on the podcast. But
Doesn't
and
sound
then
familiar, so let's
We'll
go.
go
very
to
good
the break
drummer. And
now.
then I was making music. I was making music, and it's like, yeah, I'm making music, and we were just talking about the future. I don't really know. And he said, yeah, but music's always going to be a hobby.
Hmm.
So what do you? Maybe we are talking about what do you want to do? I'm like, yeah, maybe music. And he's like, yeah, but that's hobby. Like my drumming is hobby. And I was like, I just didn't understand that. I was like, what do you mean? Like, yes, but also could be way more.
Yeah,
Let's see first.
Yeah,
yeah,
But
yeah.
that kind of that's one little like different thing that we then I guess as creatives have
Mm.
different from other people. We just kind of broke free of like the just by
Stigma.
thinking, but what
yeah,
if,
Yeah,
and
but
I
there,
think that's such a little
yeah, but that's the
detail.
thing. Like the society pressure, because you've been kind of primed your whole life that the way how it should go
Yeah,
is you go to school, you get your papers, you get a job, and you die.
yeah, yeah.
um, like that pathway is primed in you from the day you were born. And if you don't have parents who are kind of open-minded and feel like there's more paths,
Hmm.
like that this is not the only way,
Yeah,
then it's very hard to break through that.
yeah,
Because, yeah, as I said, for me, of course, at that age, your parents still have a lot to say.
yeah,
So it's a lot of pressure if your parents don't agree with you on
yeah,
your life decision,
yeah,
because eventually it could be a life decision, right? For me, it was,
yeah.
and for you probably as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can
yeah,
still remember that call very well. I was standing at a bus station, and I was like, that thought was running through my mind for a lot of days already, and I was like, shit, how am I gonna tell my parents this? It's like, oh, they're gonna be so disappointed. And then I can remember it very well. I called my dad, and I said, yeah, Dad, I just about the study. I'm so scared to tell you this, but it's like I don't know if I want to do this.
Yeah,
And he was like, good. That's good, boy.
yeah,
Yeah, he was like really like we already knew that. We already knew that you were kind of made for like not
the
like
standard thing.
yeah, the standard thing. We always knew you were creative. We always all like knew you were gonna do eventually something in something that has had to do with like creativity, if it's music or art or whatever. They were already convinced that I was basically not doing that study. um so that to come back to your question, what made it like what made you want to go to get to that point?
Mm.
I think that phone call was a big one, because
Yeah,
like after that phone call, that I felt like this big relief of, oh, there's no pressure on my shoulders, there's
yeah,
no one expecting me to make a choice or to
Yeah.
do something I don't want. You
So
know,
it wasn't the parents as well. Like
I
that's
think
the
it has a big influence on it, yeah. But also just because I've always felt like creativity is where my heart lies, you know, and up till that point, I wasn't really like I was making music, but not on the on the daily basis that I'm doing now. So, but I felt like there is something there
yeah.
that I really love about making something, and
So interesting to make decisions based on your gut feeling, right?
yeah,
Like rationally, the whole decision might not make
In
sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
Bec-
I think in general it's unnatural. It is natural, but
yeah,
it became unnatural because of how society
yeah,
worked now, like with all those pressures. Because I think
yeah.
it's a natural thing to be like,
It's
"Ooh,
supernatural.
I shouldn't go into that cave,"
yeah,
like uh,
Yeah,
way back.
yeah.
and now
And
it's
now
Way
like
it's like,
back.
"Hey, everybody's going
now I
into
wouldn't
that
go into that
cave,
cave.
so let's go." And
Yeah,
then it's kind of funny how but that's why with all the distraction now, it's so in our lifetime. I'm not meaning social
mm,
media, but just let's say the last couple 100 years,
Mm,
all the distractions. It's so hard to
yeah.
just listen to your gut feeling,
yeah.
like even
Yeah,
about collaboration, about should I do this, simple decisions.
Mhm.
Yeah,
if you look back at from that moment on, you kind of made the decision to go all in on this.
Yeah.
If you go back and think about that period in time, like how many decisions do you make on your gut feeling?
Oh, I make them on all my decisions are
Okay.
gut feeling based. And sometimes that's also a negative part of doing before thinking. That's that's the thing that I that
Doesn't
I
sound familiar at all.
no, apparently not. No, but it's yeah, I rarely really think about doing something as long as my gut says like, "Hey, this is something you should do." Then I just do it, and then I will face the consequences afterwards.
Yeah.
How big they are, like I don't really mind. That's just my way of living, and it's always been just like I said. I've never had planning or never had
I
like
guess that's such a good way of thinking. As long as you're doing something, as long as you're not
Yeah, you should
lazy, and as long as you're not expecting too much out of something, I
yeah.
think that's such a good way to live. It's
one
like
of the most important things. I think I even posted something yesterday on Instagram about this. Like one of the most important things in life in general is to stay in motion,
Mm,
right? Freezing and not making a decision at all.
mm,
So overthinking stuff, waiting until you achieve the perfect 10,
yeah.
over the 7.5. That's the mistake you shouldn't make in life, because
Mm,
you want to stay in motion, because that's where you discover new things, where opportunities come onto your path. You want to make decisions.
mm,
That's just scary,
mm,
because you never know how they end. And like the cave you mentioned, you never know what's in the cave,
yeah,
so
yeah.
you don't go in.
yeah.
But that's where the magic is. Like just make decisions, see where it takes you, and
Yeah.
adapt along the way.
Yeah. I kind of I have a name for it. Just I don't know if it's a real thing or not, and it's like literally translated. I call it learning money. So
Oh yeah.
it's kind of like I don't want to go into detail here because then I'll probably be in trouble. But I once did a commercial and I got a fee for like doing a song.
Yeah.
And then later I found out from a guy that was also in like doing vocals on commercials, and he said like, damn, you should have. Well, okay, you got that for that assignment. You should have gotten this. And it was
Yeah.
like it was like so
Much more.
huge amount of money, and I was like, okay, but I already signed the contracts and everything. He was like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a lesson, and
That
I call it
that's
learning money because it's like you still get something from it, but yeah, you could have got more.
It's but that's also like the thing where you signed it, you were happy with it.
Yeah,
You should still be almost just as happy with it,
yeah,
even knowing after, like, yes, in the future you'll adapt now,
yeah,
you'll,
yeah.
you'll
That's the
change it,
thing.
but
Yeah,
at least you made that choice, and while you made the choice, you were happy. So
yeah,
then,
and that mistake brought you to the next level,
yeah,
as
yeah,
in made you aware of the fact, like, hey, I can actually make more.
yeah,
yeah,
the industry is filled with
Yeah.
money hungry assholes.
yeah.
No,
That's
but
the
no, but
thing.
that's the thing. As in, that's the whole thing of artist coaching. Eventually, the whole thing about life experiences is that's the only way how you really learn, right? You
Mm,
Yeah,
can't really get this from
I
a book.
I liked there's well, some guy came into my algorithm on TikTok, and he's like artist, like replying to artists, and he's like, the way to write great songs and the way to produce great music or create things is like go out and live life, you
Mm-hmm.
know. You so that's also like a thing where stay in motion and like you gotta live life, like keep doing
Yeah.
stuff and also go out just like if you're a beginning producer right now.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, hello,
I am
you
Jay.
there.
No, but like don't only sit in your little attic and work on music. Of course, that's going to be 90% of the time, also because you love it. But sometimes a friend asks, "Hey, let's go to this place and do it." You know, sometimes you gotta do different stuff and do stuff that's just life. You know, that's also I think sometimes people forget with big artists, like
Yep.
we're people, and like sometimes people are surprised. Like I ran into someone who recognized me in the supermarket in the town where I live, and he
Huh?
was like, you could just see on his whole, and he's like still quite young, but he was so surprised of like, you live here, and like, and
Do
I'm
you
just
do
trying to say like, yeah,
groceries?
Are you Ed Sheeran?
I live, yeah. He's like, I was like, I live somewhere and I do groceries, yeah, and I'm here with my daughter, and he's like, just so like,
Yeah,
he
I
couldn't
should.
believe it,
Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, but you have to go out and do groceries and do things, have kids and whatever, and then because I that's one question I had as well, like, how much of your writing is influenced by your life, or do you go more about everything, or how does that
That
do
is
you take things into your
yes.
music?
Yes. It's sometimes, let's say. I think it also depends on what kind of genre you write for. So for example, K-pop is very kind of like childish sometimes. It could
Mm-hmm.
be like it also has its different kind of like
Is K-pop in
sounds.
English?
Well, I write it in English, and then
Mm.
there's like a lyricist in
Mm.
Korea, and they translate the song, and then they get like 10% or something in that direction. Um, but that's like not a very good place to really ventilate and say like, hey, this is how I've been feeling about life. um Dance kind of has the same thing for me. I feel like a lot of DJs that would ask for a vocal, they're not really into like the very deep kind of vocals about like very heavy stuff, and uh that's why I like to pour my heart out in my own music, which is not online yet, but I'm working on it in the background. It's going to be out soon.
Cool.
That's my own project. That's more pop, so that's more radio pop based, and that's just my music. And there's no one that can tell me, hey, this is not what I want it to
Yeah.
be. It's what I want it to be. And obviously you got like labels that would judge on base of like what kind of what a sound the song is sounding like, and
Mm-hmm.
those kind of like the objective kind of things. But in the subjectively, it's about you like explaining what you are feeling or what you're going through in life. And so it depends on what kind of genre you write your songs in. But to give an example, the latest track I did with Garrix Gravity, I actually wrote it like 3 years ago, together with Max Adrian. Is a really good producer from Germany. He lives in Amsterdam, um, and that was in a time where I was feeling like very down. Like I was in like one of the lowest points of my life
Mm-hmm.
ever, and we went into the studio, and then we said like, hey, I've got something that I need to get off my chest. I've been feeling this way, and I just need to translate it into music. And we made it, and then 3 years later, all of like we said to each other, we're gonna make a Garrick song today. That's actually what we said. um and then eventually, we pitched it, and it didn't like it. His team said like, this is not for him. And so we thought, okay, that happens. Eventually, on in miraculous way, it got like with him through a different guy, Sam Vox, actually, where I did the song with as well. And Garrix told me like, I was having goosebumps in the gym. um and that's, I think, because I poured out my heart into
Yeah.
that song. And you can probably hear it a bit, I think so, if,
That's
if, if I may say so. But
that's the thing I do believe as well. As in the end, music is nothing more than emotion,
yeah.
right? It's sound waves that create a certain emotion in your body. It triggers certain energy levels.
Mm,
And if you look at the biggest hits out there, mo- most of them, maybe even all of them, I don't know, but most of them are written from a personal
Yeah.
mindset or
Yeah.
experience.
If
So
it
if you
yeah.
look at Adele, her album, for example, is written about her ex and about her experiences, and there's just something with that thing, as in you can hear the difference between a voice when someone really went through it,
Yeah.
or if it's made up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
There's a
lyrics
difference.
and
And
lyrics
lyrics,
sometimes are
yeah,
also just hitting, just reading them out yourself.
yeah,
And I think if it resonates with you, it will resonate with at least millions of people.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like it's one of those things where, yes, we're all different, but we're also very much the
yeah,
same. So that's why
definitely.
I also always have with my music, if I make sure that I like it, I am sure there
Yeah,
are somewhere around the world millions of people who will
Yeah.
like it. And then, of course, the marketing genius is to bring them all together.
yeah.
But that's a whole different
Talking
thing. But
about that, like the perfect example was last weekend. I was crying at home on the couch, in my own.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good, but
Okay.
it's just that music can really hit me. Like it
Yeah.
really can make me cry
Yeah. Yeah.
if it's emotional. And I came by the new James Blunt song. Have you heard it? Monsters?
Oh yeah, the guy that covered it on America's Got Talent,
Yeah,
that big Samoan guy,
I don't know.
he did a cover of it. It's a beautiful
Have
song.
you seen the clip?
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Oh man, like he did a clip with his father. Like just
Yeah.
one video image that took the whole, like, one shot,
Yeah.
and it's just one shot of him and his father next to each other, him singing the song. Oh dude, it's I can cry right now. Like it's so intense, and
Yeah.
it's about his relationship, and oh man, that's
Yeah.
just
That's
that's
beautiful.
so bizarre to
Yeah.
see how words and tones can hit you in that
Mm.
way. It's insane.
yeah, and I'm also curious, because what I always think is like the best songs. Um, I talked to this with my girlfriend the other day. The best songs, like let's say the best, biggest hits,
Mm.
are always the one that are like,
Created under 15 minutes.
yeah, no. But they're like the text, because
Yeah.
I try my best at songwriting. I'm not very good with lyrics, but it's
Mm.
like there's something there's like they're cheesy, but just not. They're just like they're like cheesy enough so that you're like, hey, recognizable, and
Mm.
they sound fun and quite simple, but there's just some little, yeah, just a little difference between like art and,
And I
let's say
think,
what AI now makes is very much like way
yeah,
cheesy, and you can just sense there's no like that's just
and
that
I
next
think
level. I wonder
Yeah.
how
that's
that.
what we mean, as in the difference is it a
Yeah.
personal thing? Do you deliver it from yourself, or is
Yeah.
Yeah.
it a story you're just
Yeah, but it's
telling?
also like coming up with a great metaphor, or like I wonder how do you train that, or is that just like making, and it will happen, or
I mean, I don't want to name drop all the time, but like if we're talking about Gravity, for instance, there is a lot of metaphors in there, and that was also because like I felt that way, but it was too much to really go into details. You
Mhm.
know, like that's a little too much for like a dance kind of song.
Yeah,
So then a clever option is to like try to find ways to describe the same feeling and the same story, but then in different words, so that people also can interpret it um, themselves like differently. Like some people will hear the songs and they will think about their themselves having the experience the same things that I went through, for
Mhm.
example. But it could also be that someone hears the song and then thinks about his granddad or something. You know,
Yeah.
like it's whenever it's multi-interpretable. I think
it's a
that's
bit weird when there's like kissing involved and stuff. But
there's no kissing involved. There's no kissing involved. You don't have to worry about that. But
Just
it's I
joking,
think yeah, it's like whenever it's like interpretable, then it's
yeah.
good because
Mhm.
if people can recognize themselves or in any
Yeah.
kind of way, I think that's what you want as an artist because in the beginning you make the song for yourself,
Yeah.
and whenever I'm happy with my songs, I'm happy to throw it out,
Yeah.
and if people choose to like it as well, then I'm happy as well. It's like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's kind of like a two-way street, right?
People use music for their own, like, moments in life. They connect it to their own personal
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, we always have community questions.
Oh shit.
Let's just go. I
Can
have
I
to.
swear? No.
I do want to address one big thing though,
Oh, one big
because I don't know
thing.
if the community asks about it. It's
What's-
AI and
Oh,
Yeah,
songwriting.
we're
AI.
gonna talk about
Oh,
that later.
okay,
But
okay,
first,
okay.
let's squeeze in a community question.
Calm down.
Community questions.
Okay.
Deze ook niet weten dat ik uit Brabant kom.
Yeah. Here's a question from Israel Carter.
Hey, Israel.
Your song Gravity captures that magic progressive house sound that a lot of artists have moved on from, which is a shame. What is it about this song that made it resonate with so many people? This style of music is my personal favorite. Congrats on the release.
Yeah, that's a very good question
That's maybe what
because
we just talked about.
I think so too,
Yeah.
but it's also about the landscape of the music industry that's constantly shifting.
Mhm.
So you will see, like for instance, we talked about like the Afro house kind of stuff, and there's always this thing that's hot and happening, and then it will come back to the genre that has been like kind of thriving throughout like all of the decades, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm talking about the EDM then, so that's not all
Mhm.
of the decades, but a lot of them. I mean, it's also subjective.
I
Um,
find it just very interesting that it was already 3 years old, and then that's especially in electronic music that's old
yeah,
for like a song of mine, for example. But for a song, if you talk about lyrics and chords and like it can be timeless. It can resonate at any point, and it's but that's interesting that you write something and then 3 years later Martin builds a song around it, and it's like that's what I think is really cool about
Yeah, definitely.
songwriting.
yeah,
It's more about and I think one of the writers for Post Malone also said it like, yes, it's all these styles, but eventually it comes down to an acoustic version
yeah,
of the song should still be good, and
yeah,
that's where the foundation of a
yeah, and
good song lies.
that's why as a songwriter we always, when we write a song and we record it and we send it out to like DJs or whatever act, we send it out as minimal as
Yeah,
possible. So we don't want a whole production around it, because we know we are all already like kind of um handing over the production on a silver plate to the DJ, but maybe the DJ wants to make it something completely different. Maybe
Yeah.
the DJ wants it to be a dubstep or a drum and bass kind of thing. You never know what the DJ wants with it. So you always start off from blank. You just send the vocal with maybe a guitar, maybe a piano, maybe some pads, like not much. And that's the only thing you send, because then you give the person that is interested in the song, you give them the freedom of
yeah,
creativity to
Yeah.
do with the song what they want to do, you know, like with the whole thing. But funny enough, like Gravity, for instance, it when we pitched it, there was not a lot of people interested in that song, because like Israel asked, like it's progressive house. It's just not, it's finally in an uprising again. I think, I hope, because I love making
Well,
it.
that's debatable. As in, I think the last few weeks we've been talking about this. Like, is EDM coming back? And last week I
did
sent.
it ever leave? It's like
No, it
Yeah,
didn't
that's
left, but
always
it
my
leave, but yeah,
it definitely was a lot less than it used to be. But last week I sent a video of Mike Williams as well. He also
mm,
posted
mm.
something like, I kind of
Yeah,
sense that
yeah,
old progressive sound coming back.
yeah,
yeah, melodic and
Yeah, maybe
yeah.
it's just all that we're in an echo chamber and we're all talking about
yeah,
the same
It's I
thing. But
think it's like the forever cycle in music, and like there was this huge hype EDM big room, and then people got a bit bored of it, and then COVID happened, so things went more underground, I think. So
mhm,
and then also like online the sets were more popular, and that's usually more like the circle guys, so more. So I think underground started a bit more like techno and darker
Mhm.
stuff, and I think it's very natural for then that to be a hype and for more mainstream to adapt to that. But then now it's kind of like how I always see it is like those are like little side adventures
Yeah.
the scene has, but there's
mm,
always like kind of the mainstream EDM that will always kind of work. And yes, it will be less popular and stuff, but for me, like my sets, for example, and I always compare it a bit to Tiesto sets. It's like there's this standard EDM kind of 128, 130 vibe that always kind of seems to resonate. Um, Despite from like, hey, there's here a few how do you say like uitstapjes?
Side steps.
Yeah, side steps
side quests.
to
Side
a bit
quests. Yeah.
darker and
Yeah.
a bit harder. And some artists will totally devote to that, and
Yeah,
that's amazing. But yeah, I feel like
I
the
mean, I
circle's
think,
coming back to a bit more mainstream
yeah,
EDM again.
I think Avicii is a very good example as well, like with the
Timeless
Wake
music.
Me Up, and like with
Yeah.
infusing like the country with the dance. And that's what I like, as a songwriter. You get like a lot of briefings as well from your publisher or from A&Rs, that have
So
like
you're ahead of the
kind
current a
of
little bit. Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of like, how do you call it, it's like a fashion week. Like they already kind of like predict the future in fashion.
The next
They know
trends.
what trend is going to be
Yeah.
hot and happening in the next season.
Yeah.
The same goes for songwriters. We also know what the artists are looking for, so we get like briefs.
I that in two ways. I think one, you're ahead,
Yeah,
but sometimes I think what happens, and I noticed this the first time was when I came up, 2014. Chainsmokers had like these huge hits, right?
roses and stuff. Yeah,
Roses,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then all the A&Rs and everybody, all the publishers said, "Yeah,
We need
Chainsmokers,
something like that.
Chainsmokers,
Yeah,
Chainsmokers." But also, yes, then that's kind of the hype, but it's also a bit too late because
yeah.
I think yeah, that's you. But I don't think you only work from briefings, right? Or do
No, no,
you?
no,
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 you also
definitely.
write a lot of
I
your own stuff.
rarely work from briefings. The
Yeah.
only times that I really work from briefings is with K-pop, because I honestly don't know what is happening there. It's such a saturated market with so many like different sounds, different boy bands, girl bands. So it's hard to know what is going on there, because it's not part of the, like, it's slowly becoming more part of the Western culture, but it's still like it's a standalone thing.
Super niche. Yeah.
Yeah, super niche. So that's why you need briefs for, like, okay, this is what they're looking for.
Yeah.
And but most of the times I just want to make a good song, and whatever fits the mold, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
if you make something that's timeless, like we said, something that sometimes I like to like write something that sounds a bit crazy or like a bit alternative or
Yeah,
something.
like I told Joey the story
Yeah.
of we hang out sometimes in the studio and then play golf until his golf set got stolen. So if you found a
Yeah,
golf
so
set,
whoever got my golf set, my
give it
address,
back, man.
give it back.
But we then one time I remember I was showing him my Eggboy beats, and Eggboy is my side project available on all.
On all, on all platforms
It's
streaming
like
right
it's like
now.
lo-fi and like hip hop beats, and I showed him this one song. He's like, "Hey, wait, man, wait, you go just have some coffee or something, and I just hear something on this." And then
Yeah.
I went for 20 minutes, and I came back, and he wrote like a whole kind of rappy kind of
That was different.
song.
It was
I
different.
tried to
Yeah.
find it before, but I couldn't really. But it's like I was like, holy shit! It was so good for that beat, and that's well, it's somewhere in the vault. So who knows whatever will happen with that? But it's fun to see. Well, first of all, how talented you are, and
Thank you.
like, but also it's so good to have that
Mm,
because those are the ideas that sometimes who knows you might pick it up in a session with a huge artist and then
yeah.
they're like, hey, I like this because it's different,
Yeah.
or they're like, what is this shit?
Yeah, yeah, but that's also fine.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's, it's all subjectively. Like,
yeah.
if they don't like it, that's also good.
Yeah.
Then someone else would like it, and if not, that's also fine. I have a lot of songs that I've been pitching for years, but still haven't found a home yet. And you have those songs as well. You just
Yeah.
gotta accept that not everything you make is like worth gold. It's like, yeah,
And this, but all this stuff it sounds like, or now I'm hearing it in songwriting.
yeah, but it's
All
got
this
a
stuff
lot
like
of
find a
similarities.
home and
Yeah.
like it's so cool. It's like
Yeah,
you
it's
can,
got a lot of similarities, but
yeah.
it's I think, like, and that's why I asked Jopke, like, hey, have you ever had like a songwriter on your podcast? Because I think for songwriters and DJs or producers to be able to understand what we do,
Mhm.
it's both a craft. It's different, but it's got a lot of
True.
similarities. But I think it's also for people that start to make music. Like, sometimes, for example, I would get messages from DJs that they for example, they made a song and they want my vocals on it, which I'm like, that's super flattering. That's like, thank you for that,
Yeah.
But the way they type the message, and the way they like kind of like force it into, like, you
Mm.
have to listen to this, that's why I thought maybe it's also a good, like, maybe idea to get like a perspective from a songwriter, like what is important for songwriters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um
Yeah, and
So
I
what
think
what is important for songwriters? If a music producer sends you a song, like what is it that you are on the lookout for?
the thing is, it's a bit difficult. Like, in the beginning, you tend to take everything that you get because you see everything as a chance. But along the way, when you're making steps and you get like releases with bigger artists, then automatically everything shifts along. So everything shifts with that. So for example, fees or things just go up because like like it's part of the job. Like
Yeah.
it's business at the end of the day. So what I would do is like I almost listen to all the demos that I receive from producers, no matter how big they are, no matter what their following is. I don't
Mhm.
give a shit about that. Sorry. uh,
Oh,
I don't.
no.
I honestly don't mind because I eventually I want to listen to what people have done, and I would love to give feedback, even though I probably already know I'm not going to work with them because it's just maybe out of their range in terms of like fees or
Yeah.
those kind of things. And that's not to sound cocky at all because that's not who I am. But you have to kind of like grow with the
Yeah,
successes
yeah,
that
With
yeah,
the
you
for sure,
level.
already
for sure.
had in
Yeah,
the past.
you know more your worth.
Yeah,
Like
but I'm
literally.
always down to listen because
Yeah,
I have been there too. Like I have been in people's DMs
yeah.
saying like, "Hey, I'm a vocalist. I can do something on your." I've been there too. So it's only it's the least that I can do to just have a listen, maybe speak out my honest opinion because I would never say like, "Oh, that's super cool," while I think it's just rubbish. I'll just say like, "Hey, it's good, but I think it needs improvement."
Not
For
quite
now,
there yet.
no, it's not
Yeah, and
quite
I
there
think
yet, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to start from somewhere, I
I
think.
think a big one is like what I also always say to beginning producers, like, and that's especially maybe for songwriters, singers, get in there, as in
Yeah.
like go out and go to sessions, and it doesn't matter if with big artists, just someone you like. That's I think I met you through Tom and James, but
Yeah.
I'm not.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
They're in the same building as me, and then hey, oh, you're also from the same province in
Ja,
Holland,
Brabant.
and it's like, hey, that's fun. Hey, let's put a date for next week, and then
Yeah.
we made a. I don't know if we even made something, but then I had something that I needed a vocal for.
Mhm.
A song I wrote with Less of the Sun, and then recorded with Sam, I think,
I think
and
so,
the
yeah.
vocals came back amazing. And then we did another song, and it's just like that's how things get rolling a little
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah,
And
it needs developing as well sometimes, yeah.
yeah, yeah, and I think that's such a well in producer world as well. Just like underestimate, like just get out there and just
Talk to
do.
people.
Yeah, talk to people and just
That I
make stuff with people.
that is very important. I do think that luck is a very,
For
very,
sure.
very big part that plays a role. If I wouldn't have Sam, for instance, I don't know, you never know, obviously, but I think I wouldn't be where I'm at right now. Um, because if you look at it status wise, I was there. Sam was already quite here. Like he was doing a great job. He had a DJ duo that was like playing Tomorrowland and like big festivals. And I was like, damn, this guy's level is there, and I'm only here. How
Yeah.
what does he see in me that he wants to work with me?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so sometimes it's also a bit of like luck that you bump into that person that sees your potential, that wants to work with you instead of I want to work with him because I can earn money.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Sometimes
mhm.
you need that person that believes in you,
Yeah.
That's true.
But the
and
only way you can find that out is meet up with
yeah,
people and then
yeah,
realize, oh,
the
this guy
basis, yeah.
is we're hitting it off.
Yeah.
That's that gut feeling again.
Hmm.
And
I get a
staying in
good feeling with
motion.
this person. It's gonna work.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Um,
it's the same thing as in gut feeling, but also staying in motion. As in, you need to make the decision, give it a try, see how it feels, how it works out. Does it work? Keep doing it.
yeah,
Doesn't it work? End it
yeah,
yeah,
and
yeah,
go to the next one. Right? Like
yeah,
you need to keep going. That's the
yeah,
most important thing.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, now about the topic which
Here
No
we
came.
more
go.
questions. No more questions.
Yeah, a few for us. We can try to see. Yeah, here's a question from Ferry G, and then we go to the AI because we're almost at an hour.
Oh,
Um, did you ever paid or hired a famous influencer to promote your track? For both of you.
No, no, not really. No.
I didn't. Someone I collabed with did. And yeah, I wasn't too impressed with the result. And I'm like it's fine, it's fun, but the way that's a bit new kind of promotion, a
Yeah.
new kind of promotion. And I'm not gonna name any else details about the release because
Burden.
then you right away know like
Yeah.
But it's like you pay an influencer and they do their thing, and it's kind of like, is your thing then really like, if you can pay for your thing, is it then really like a cool thing, you know? So like let's say this is not the case, but let's say there's a certain TikToker who always has viral dances
Mm.
because that person loves to dance and thinks
Okay.
of dances. Then you pay him and say, hey, here's my song, make a dance to that, and then they do it, and then it's kind of like, yeah, it becomes a bit not authentic
Not
anymore.
authentic. Yeah.
It's not the best example, but
I think people
yeah.
will always be able to see through that
Yeah.
it's not
Yeah, I agree.
initially
Yeah,
their
I agree.
idea to make a dance on that song.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
also something that has been happening over the years. As in, even 50 years ago, people paid athletes to wear certain brands. It's the
Yeah.
same thing,
Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
yeah.
sponsorships, it's all paid promotion in some
Mhm.
kind of way.
Yep.
Same goes for influencers, but the question is, the real thing you're actually doing is paying for reach,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Just for people to hear your song.
people
Yeah.
buy from
Yeah.
people. So if your favorite influencer promotes your song, it might
Yes.
be more likely
But-
people will actually check
But
it
you
out.
can. It's like when it comes to golf.
Oh shit! We almost made it
if-
throughout the whole episode
Golfer.
without mentioning
if
golf.
this is the thing, if a pro golfer plays with certain clubs, you bet your ass they love working with those clubs.
Sure.
They love playing with those
Sure.
clubs, and that's
Yeah.
where music is so like debatable that sometimes it's like, oh, do you really like that track, or are you just
Yeah.
saying it for your video? And that's
Yeah, it's true. It's more subjective.
yeah, and that's why things become a bit more fake sometimes, and I'm not a big big
I
fan
think
of
it
that.
has to do with it being music.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
If you have like for instance a brand or like I don't know, kitchen machines that you use, like no one will find something behind it, you know. No one will
Yeah.
think about it as, oh, he probably doesn't like that fucking blender that he
yeah,
just
yeah. He
bought.
likes the blender. It's a
He
free
just
blender.
like it's a blender, you know,
and
like
free.
yeah. And but with music it's different because you
Yeah.
probably follow that person for a long time already. You kind of know what that person likes
Feel
because you have an
personal.
insight in their lives.
Yeah.
And maybe sometimes when they then for example promote a song of which you think like that's not really music that he like usually listens to, then you can
Yeah.
easily see through,
Yeah,
right? But
yeah.
but with different brands it depends on what kind of brand it is, I think.
Yep.
But it's never I think it's never a bad thing because reach is reach, right? So even when people see, I had it with like a song. I hate it. I honestly hate it. I'm not gonna name the song, not gonna name the artist, but I hate it. And there's
Danza
this
Kuduro.
no, I love that song. I love that song. No, but like
Crazy Frog.
no, it's actually
No, you don't have to name it.
okay. No, yeah, no, I was not planning on doing that. No, but like influencer, they like promoted it on Instagram or whatever, and then I heard that song. I was like, not again. And then 10 minutes later, I was like, you know, I was still singing along to that song, so it worked, even though it had a negative effect on me.
Yep.
Subconsciously, it works.
So yeah,
Yeah.
basically that's what it does. And I value music very much, but music people that don't listen to music that much and hear that song, like, oh yeah, I will put it in my playlist. They don't think about like, oh, I really need this or something.
This is probably only funny to Dutch people, or maybe it's not even funny, it's just weird. There's this song, and it's like an Italian famous singer, and some Dutch band or carnival act made
Oh,
a
yeah.
remake of it, and
Yeah.
it's Pizza Calzone.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
en in this song, he sings like, ik heb zo'n zin in de pizza calzone, en dan zo dubbel geklapt, laat maar komen. But
yeah.
then,
Yeah.
this is like, it doesn't matter, but then my daughter wants a sandwich, and I'm asking her, do you want it dichtgeklapt of dubbel geklapt? And like for the past weeks, every time I ask her that, that's part of the song comes in my head, and I'm singing this song. Pizza calzone, and it's like, and it annoys the heck out of me
Yeah.
and my girlfriend.
and it sticks.
But how
it
many
just
times have
keeps
you played it
in
now
there.
over the weeks? Have you played it after she?
Yeah,
like,
once to show.
So it
my,
worked.
Yeah,
You got it.
yeah.
The artist got at least like
Got a stream.
like
They
0.
got a stream.
Point zero
They
point
got you.
zero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One.
Hey, let's last topic that we're going to talk about, and then we'll announce the winner of last week's giveaway as well.
Is it me? I hope so.
No, it's not you.
You signed up,
You,
and
you
then
can you are free to do a giveaway though. So if you feel like you want to give away something to the audience, like
yeah, some royalty points.
yeah, like anyone wants
Hell
to your
no.
to your next release.
20% on Gravity, you know, like
Sure.
what are we
Fine.
talking about here?
No,
Like,
no.
Um,
I don't know what I should give away though. Like my
No.
used socks or
I'm
something. Are
putting you
people
on,
into
I'm
that?
putting you on the
They pay
spot.
high
like,
money for that. But
think
the
about it.
big topic, and
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
talked a little bit before, and I showed
Yeah.
you some examples.
Yeah.
AI,
Yeah, man.
AI and songwriting.
Yeah, man.
As a producer, I often now more and more get the question of like, oh, AI is gonna take over your job, and I'm like, yeah, well, first of all, I can still make music.
Yeah.
That's always my first defense. Like, the second is, yeah, making money off music and different is gonna change, and I think it's gonna change a lot. Um, but creatively, AI is gonna change a lot, and I think from what I've seen now with some like AI things, it's you write two words and it writes an entire song,
Yeah.
which is a bunch of gibberish sometimes, but also a lot of melodies and chords and everything. Some of it's a really
Sounds
good,
solid. Yeah.
really catchy, and it sounds good. Do you see this as a threat, or yeah, how do you feel about AI?
I think it's very it's got two sides to be honest. I try to get along with it as much as possible. I am not really a person that would fill in a prompt and write me a whole song. That's just not the way I liked it because then I'll probably lose the fun in my job. I'm not saying like eventually someone is taking over my job because I will always be able, like you say, to do what I love,
Mhm.
and no robot is going to take that away from me. Um, so I try like for example like ChatGPT. I sometimes use it like not even to write me lyrics, but just like get me rhyme words or
Yeah,
get me like a specific kind of rhyming a scheme or
like practical things.
yeah practical things. I don't. I mean I don't know if I should use it more, but I feel like I use it whenever I feel like using it, and it could definitely be beneficial, but on the other side, it's also like a lot of people say like it's very scary because it's becoming way more real. I don't know if you heard about the Odessa album that dropped.
No.
Odessa didn't release any music, but there was a whole album of Odessa created by AI. So someone else uploaded that illegally, fraudulently, and then
Wow.
yeah, and it was on the news like yesterday. So that's also a scary part because people believed it was Odessa
Because it sounds like
because it
it.
sounds like it, and no one's gonna ask questions. Everyone's like, "Damn, they just released a whole album," you know.
Wow.
But that's the whole thing about it, which I think it's not necessarily like the robots or the intelligence taking over. It's like the things you can do with it. Like if it's in the wrong hands, it could go to a different place. That's
Yeah.
why I believe like the head of AI of Google that resigned like a couple of years ago because he said like the intelligence is more intelligent than people now,
Yeah.
and it will become more intelligent. That's a scary thing. That's I think that's something that sometimes like frightens me a bit. Not that I will lose my job, but just like it will make some things lose their creativity and the preciousness of the craft, you know, like
Yeah.
I don't want to go to craft to go to waste. um so it's very double. I use it, so maybe I'm biased as well, but it's like I use it sometimes because I think look, yeah, it makes it some things a bit easier, but at the same time it's also scary because it's at the point where it's now it's already super developed, and
Yeah.
I can't imagine what it looks like in 20 years or
Or
even maybe
even
5 to
even a
10.
year.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
like
yeah.
if you look at how much it developed within a year, it's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah, I
So
just talked to Firebeats. They're in the same building. But
neighbors.
also they said there's this app, Suno, and they
Mhm.
said like a year ago or something they checked it out, and it was all kind of like
Yeah, it was
Dutch didn't
okay.
work. And then now I showed them some examples of
Mhm.
what I've been trying out, and they're like, whoa, that really
Yeah, I've been making
improved so
the jingles
fast.
in Suno.
Yeah, 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 I know. Yeah,
With the podcast jingles, I've made them as well.
Yeah?
And yeah,
And it's just one click, and like within 5 seconds, you get a whole
insane.
song, right?
yeah.
It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
But I
insane.
think yeah, there's always going to be people who see easy money in it
mm,
and are like gonna take over like lo-fi beats and make that and just like
Yeah.
but that I think that's something that has been happening to the music industry in
Yeah.
general. There's people like, hey, this is an easier way for me to make money because I just manage an artist, or and I think that's something where, as a creative, also you have to be aware of that. Yeah, there's always going to be this big thing I shared the other day. I think it was Kate Nash who was like,
Oh yeah.
I'm doing this tour and I'm not making any money off it, and it's so hard to make money, and I'm doing all this promotion and whatever. And then it's like, I was kind of like, yeah, but you have to understand there are people at labels, they're making money and they don't really care about the artists. And why should they? It's like,
They're running their business.
yeah, but they're in the business of making money, of
Yeah.
taking care of their family. So they're in a whole different business, and no one's out of pity gonna give you like money, like, oh, you're so good, and like, oh, I'm feel sad for you, here's some of my money.
Mhm.
That's at least not a big chunk, you know.
Yeah.
You might give some,
Uh,
but that's something that's so like, yeah, uh as an artist, you have to be aware of, there's an industry that wants to make money off you, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. It's not scary, but just be aware of it so that you can utilize those channels to make your own income. I'd say that's
and the
the way
world
to.
is ever evolving, right? So
Mm.
Yeah.
right now with the virtual of AI, like that's a change that is coming, that's already here, and you as an artist have the task to adapt
Mm.
and to figure out how am I implementing this
Mm.
to remain yeah, how you say it, like as not essential but like valid or whatever, I don't know, but
Relevant?
relevant, yeah, relevant. And as a singer songwriter, I can imagine that a part of the singer songwriters might lose work because it can be done by AI, right?
Mhm.
But I think what will remain is the fact that you as a person, the brand behind it, so your artist brand,
Mhm.
um, that's a value. That's what people will
Yeah.
come to see at
Yeah.
shows. We don't go to an AI show. We don't want to see a computer singing.
They
Yeah.
actually are doing that
Yeah, they are.
with the anime kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
true. But we still go
Yeah, yeah,
to
Yeah,
obviously, yeah.
someone who creates that show. And I
Yeah.
think with this as well, I can fall in love with a vocal from AI. Sure, that can
Mhm.
happen. But can I become a fan of that?
I think
I think I can in some kind of way because people are also fan of like AI models or whatever. Um, but I think the value of having a person on stage going to a show of someone who has the skill and the craft,
Mm.
at least for the upcoming 10
Even
years, will be a valuable thing.
even
Yeah.
writing the song, because there's just some feelings you only humans can really
Yeah, but
express.
that's what
Yeah.
we talked about.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
the way how a human
Yeah,
delivers the message,
yeah,
as soon as an AI is able to do that with emotions as
Mm.
well, then we're fucked. But until that moment,
yeah. But they can always only recreate.
exactly.
They can
Yeah,
never like feel.
And it's too
never say
perfect.
never.
I think
But I'm
it's
sorry, AI, if you're listening,
Yeah, sorry,
please.
sorry, China. Sorry, sorry.
no, but I think it's also like imperfection is such an important thing in your music.
Yeah,
And if you ask an AI bot for example to create a song and say like I want it to be imperfect, they'll like the bot will have like
error.
what?
Well, the bot right now is just
That's
only neon skies, dancing under the neon skies.
yeah,
That's the
yeah, yeah.
only,
But
only
obviously
thing that.
that's gonna develop very fast, I think. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and what also has to do with um your voice. Let's have Lewis Capaldi as an example. If I would have never seen Lewis Capaldi in real life as he is, as a
Yeah.
person, his image, the way
Mhm.
he presents himself, I would have never listened to his music probably.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a big fan of him and also his voice, I think one of his biggest strengths is also his appearance.
Yeah,
He's this
That's a
fun guy.
personality. Yeah,
He's got an honest like personality. You can
yeah,
see through everything. He's not like
yeah.
putting up a show or whatever,
yeah.
and that helps so much in being able to love an artist. So
Yeah.
it's not only about voice. It's not only
Yeah,
about
it's the
that.
authenticity behind it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's something AI can never
And
create.
I want to say to producers, creators, everyone out there, um, this is because it's always like they're like, oh, well, we're songwriters, we're screwed, or we're producers, we're
Mm,
out of a job, and it's like, you okay, maybe you're not gonna make money off it. You have to put that aside, that
mm.
idea, but you can always create your own stuff.
I think.
But that's such a like big missed thing in all this, because
Yeah.
it's like, yes, maybe AI puts me out of a job,
Mhm.
but it will never take creating away from me, and
Yeah.
that's something that I think is so important to.
Yeah, but the reason why people worry about it is because it takes their job.
Yeah,
Right?
but you're
So
not. I think as a creative, I'm very lucky, of course, but I never feel entitled to having an income out of this, and that's, I think, why the Kate Nash thing. I'm like, kind of like, yes, you make music, yes, it resonates with people, but that still doesn't mean you're entitled to anything. Basically,
no,
I
that's
think
true.
that's something to realize as an
Yeah,
artist. I'm not entitled to
Mm.
make money off it. I'm just very lucky to and very
yeah,
blessed, but
true.
it might not always be.
Okay.
Um, but
Okay, we're gonna end the show, but not before we announce the
the
winner of the
winner.
giveaway last week.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it has been announced in the Discord channel, and we can congratulate Andrew Sanchez.
Hey. Congrats, Andrew.
Andrew, you can reach out to me or to the Discord. Like, it sent a message somewhere on Instagram or whatever, because you've won the 30-minute mentor call with me.
Joey
Oh,
Suki.
Yeah, so you can listen to me talking.
Normally worth 2,000 euros.
Exactly.
Minimum.
Starting rate.
Yeah, starting range. That's the flat fee. So
750 each hour extra.
make sure to reach out, and we'll make that happen. Thanks, man. Thanks for
Anything to shill? Anything like
yeah,
coming
any
out,
tracks?
or because we're always like have this where we're like, hey, my song's
We
coming
have a
out,
jingle.
or
Yeah, where's
oh
the
yeah,
jingle?
no, that's terrible. No, I'll make a new one.
Shameless plug.
Sooner I'll make a new one.
Shameless plug.
No, that's terrible.
Oh, that was it?
That was it.
I expected way more. to be honest.
No, jingle shouldn't be too long.
No, but that one isn't it. That one
Anyway,
isn't it.
anything to share?
I don't know.
Song coming out. Song that people should go stream right now.
There is actually a song coming out with Sam. So
Nice.
it's a full circle moment. That's the first song that we released together in over the like 9 years that we have been
Oh,
working
nice.
together. So that's a very special moment. It's gonna be with Adriatic, guys
Oh,
from
cool.
Switzerland. They are awesome. It's gonna be a huge track. I'm in love with it. The response is already great. So that's gonna be out soon. I can't say the date just yet. Um, there's a lot more coming. Armin van Buren, Pendulum.
Sick.
Uh,
Pendulum.
yeah.
Sick.
There's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff. But I didn't have a conversation with my management on beforehand. Like, what can I discuss? What can I? So I'm
Yeah.
just gonna leave it with that.
Okay.
Let's just say there's a lot
Nice.
of good
All right.
music, at least in my opinion, coming your way. So
Congrats on that, and
thank you.
best of luck in the future. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming.
Thank you guys for
Cheers,
having
thanks
me.
for coming.
I have an announcement.
Oh, shit.
Music is coming out.
New
Oh, well,
music on
that's
J
no,
Hardway.
that's general.
Yeah.
End of March, I'm releasing a song. I'm still finishing it as we speak, but it's gonna be released independently, so that's very exciting.
Self-release.
Self-release. So that's exciting, and I have a lot more on my PC that I'm gonna release. Follow my journey on Instagram. You can also subscribe to me on Instagram, by the way. I'm showing way more behind the scenes.
Dog.
Yeah, so for €5 a month, there's even a 2-week free
there's even-
trial period.
It's a paid thing.
Yeah, of course.
Oh.
I need to
Look
make
at-
money
look at you.
somehow.
Look
I
at
need to
you
make
building
money
a
somehow.
business.
Come on, guys.
I feel like I'm kind of
I
like.
mean, you don't feel pity for me that AI is taking over? Send me money.
I feel like I kind of missed the opportunity to really sell myself here. You you said like
No.
your Instagram and
Yeah,
stuff.
this
Selling
guy-
out, man. I'm selling
this
out.
guy is
At
selling.
J
Follow me
Hardway.
on James Music.
Yeah. James.
PayPal.com.
JAIMES Music.
Patreon, PayPal, we
Yeah.
have it all.
OnlyFans.
Send
I
me
got an
No, but
money.
OnlyFans coming up.
the subscription, I am really going to show way more like behind the scenes and like in my studio, just randomly, hey, I'm working on this. So it's actually going to be,
This is not a sales pitch.
it is. No, but it's really going to be exciting, I think, for people to see the amount of stuff I'm working on. It's really like I have a lot that's just also like film music, or like there's so much shit I make that never gets out there, and that's going to change this year.
Get it out there, boy.
Amazing. Get it out. Okay, everyone, thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Make
everyone.
sure to share this with your friends, family, colleagues, DJs, whatever you want. Don't forget to subscribe. We see the subscribers going up every week, so thanks
Nice.
for that. And we'll be back next week, probably with Ralph.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, we didn't mention, but Ralph isn't here.
I'm just a replacement. That's
You
all
may
I
have
am.
noticed he's not here.
Yeah, bye bye.
I'm just a replacement. That's all I am.